She said, "Propose at the party, or we're done." I found out it was a trap, so I got down on one knee and handed the ring to her sister. I wasn't proposing. I was leaving. She was scrolling through her phone again. Feet on the couch. Blanket wrapped around her legs. Eyes locked on Instagram. I sat across from her, watching the flicker of changing colors reflect on her face. There was a time we used to talk for hours, about nothing and everything. Now, the silence between us stretched wider than the living room. "You've been quiet lately," I said. She looked up, blinked once, then gave a half smile. "Just tired," she said. "Work's been draining." But I knew it wasn't work. She hadn't liked her job for months, but it never made her retreat like this. Something had changed. We'd been together almost 2 years, lived together for 13 months, met each other's families, vacationed twice, shared bills, passwords, even a dog. But for the last 3 weeks, she'd been cold. Not rude, just distant. She stopped kissing me goodnight, stopped asking how my day was, and she'd started guarding her phone like it held government secrets. I thought maybe she needed space, but then, 1 week before Christmas, she dropped the bomb. We were in bed, lights off. She had her back to me. Out of nowhere, she said, "I want you to propose at the Christmas party." I blinked in the dark. "Wait, what?" She turned to face me. Her eyes were wide open now. "My whole family will be there. My grandparents, my sister, my parents. I've told them it's happening, so yeah, that's what I want." I stared at her, trying to figure out if this was a joke. "You've told them it's happening?" I said slowly. She nodded. "And if I don't?" I asked. She didn't even hesitate. "Then I think we need to go our separate ways." My chest felt tight, not with sadness, with confusion. We had never discussed marriage timelines. I had a plan, something personal, something quiet, something just us. Now it felt like I was a performer in someone else's play. Still, I said nothing that night. She kissed me once on the cheek, rolled over, and went to sleep. I lay there for hours, my head spinning. Why now? Why like this? The next morning, she acted like nothing happened. Made coffee, played with our dog, laughed at a TikTok. I didn't bring it up. I needed to think. That evening, I stayed late at work, sat in the parking lot, stared at the Ring catalog open on my phone. My chest still felt off, like a warning bell was going off in the back of my mind. I didn't order anything. The next night, we went to her cousin Amanda's house for dinner. Halfway through dessert, I stepped out to take a call. On the way back in, I passed the open den. I stopped. She was sitting on the couch with Amanda and her sister, laughing. And then I heard it. "I swear to God he's going to do it," she said. "And I'm going to say no." More laughter. "I just want to watch his face when he realizes he's not in control." The laughter turned sharper. "Honestly, after what he said about my job not being real work? Yeah, screw him. This is going to be my moment." I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I just stood in the hallway, the shadows hiding me. Then I slowly backed away, went outside, sat in the cold night for 10 minutes. No tears, no rage, just silence. She came out a few minutes later, smiling. "Everything okay?" she asked. I nodded. "Yeah, just had to take care of something." We drove home in silence. She fell asleep early, humming a Christmas song. I watched her from across the room, and I knew, without doubt, that I wasn't the man she thought I was. She thought I'd cry, beg, be humiliated. She thought she was holding the cards. But what she didn't know was that I'd just folded my hand and was already reshuffling the deck. The next morning, I called her sister, the real estate agent. I didn't tell her everything, just enough. Looking to move? She asked, surprised. Just need options, I replied. I told her it was time for a change. She said she'd keep it quiet. Professional courtesy. That same day, I ordered a small velvet ring box. Empty, no ring inside, just the illusion. I kept it in my coat pocket. She spent the week decorating the house, made cookies, wrapped presents, sent out invites, told everyone it was going to be a Christmas to remember. She had no idea how right she was. I didn't fight, didn't argue, played the role. I watched her rehearse in the mirror, practicing how she'd say no, how she'd laugh sweetly and say, "Let's just wait." I memorized it all, and every time I saw her practicing, I felt lighter, because the pain was gone, the fear was gone. All that was left was resolve. And when the night of the party came, I wore my best suit, combed my hair, smiled in the mirror, and slipped the empty ring box into my coat. The stage was set, but the script? That was mine now. The driveway was already packed when I pulled in. SUVs, minivans, a pickup truck with a red bow on the hood. Her family didn't do small gatherings. They went all in. Twinkling lights lined the porch railings. A blow-up snowman grinned near the garage. Through the frosted windows, I could see shadows moving, hear the faint echo of laughter. She met me at the door, already beaming like a Macy's window model. "You made it," she said, brushing invisible lint off my lapel. I nodded. Wouldn't miss it. She leaned up, kissed my cheek. They're all waiting. The living room was warm. Too warm. A dozen bodies, sweaters, laughter, and holiday music cranked up just loud enough to avoid serious conversations. Her dad handed me a beer. Her cousin made a joke about mistletoe. Her grandma pinched my cheek. And everywhere, her eyes followed me. Anticipation behind that smile. She thought this was the night I'd crumble at her feet. I let her believe it. The whole first hour was rehearsed cheer. She sat me down beside her on the couch, whispered, 10 minutes. Like it was showtime. She didn't notice when I slipped into the hallway. Didn't see me tap her sister on the shoulder and nod toward the kitchen. We talked quietly. She didn't ask questions. Just handed me a list of local places with short leases and pre-furnished units. She thought I was moving for work. That was fine. Back in the living room, the lights dimmed. Someone clinked a glass with a spoon. "Quiet, everyone." The fireplace crackled behind us. I stood up slowly, heart steady, hands not shaking. Everyone turned. Her eyes lit up. She reached for my hand, and I knelt. The ring box came out like clockwork. I looked right into her eyes. Her smirk was already forming. She opened her mouth, but I spoke first. "Rachel," I said, voice clear, "these past 2 years have taught me a lot." The room went still. She blinked. I smiled gently. "I've learned about love, about trust, about red flags I ignored, and about boundaries I should have set sooner." She shifted, confused. Her mouth opened again. "I've also learned that sometimes the best gifts are freedom." Her smirk faltered. I opened the box, revealing it was empty. Gasps. Her mother let out a sharp breath. Rachel stared at it, then back at me. "I'm not here to propose," I said. "I'm here to thank you." She whispered, "What?" I stood up, closed the box. "Because your ultimatum helped me realize I don't want a life built on threats or games." Dead silence now. "I've spoken with your sister," I continued. "She's going to help me find a new place. I'll be out by the end of the month." Rachel's face turned red. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. "And I wish you the best," I added. "Truly. I hope you find someone who wants to play house on your timeline." She finally spoke. A whisper. "You're embarrassing me." I raised an eyebrow. "You were planning to say no anyway, weren't you?" More gasps. Her grandma coughed. Rachel looked around the room, every eye on her now. She took a shaky step back. This wasn't supposed to happen like this. I smiled. I know. Then I turned, handed the empty box to her dad, and walked toward the door. Behind me, a few murmurs. A cousin snickered. The fireplace crackled louder than the conversation. I didn't look back. Outside, the cold slapped my face like a wake-up call. I took a deep breath. Snow was falling. For the first time in weeks, maybe months, my chest didn't feel tight. My phone buzzed. A text. From Rachel. "Come back, please." I didn't reply. Then another one. "You humiliated me." And then, "I was joking. I would have said yes. Please come back." I muted the thread. Then a new buzz. From her sister. "Place opens on the 3rd. Want to grab coffee and see it together?" I stared at the message, smiled, typed one word. Absolutely. Then I turned the key in my ignition. Christmas music on the radio. Silent night. But for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel silent. I felt heard. And the best part? No ring, no fight, no begging. Just the clean sound of someone walking away, with dignity intact. The day after the party, I slept better than I had in months. No dreams, no checking my phone first thing in the morning, no wondering if I was being too sensitive or insecure. Just silence. Blessed, glorious silence. But Rachel wasn't done. At 7:12 a.m., the first real message came in. "You blindsided me, in front of my family. That was cruel." I didn't answer. At 7:34, "I only said no as a joke. I thought you'd laugh. You were supposed to laugh." Still no reply. By 8:01, she had switched tones. "Fine, you want to leave? Then leave. You think you're some hero? Go ahead. Everyone saw what kind of man you are." Block. I wasn't playing the post-breakup text game. I'd played it once, years ago, with another ex. You don't win. You just sink deeper. Instead, I spent that morning packing. It was weird. How light everything felt. The drawers opened easier. The air in the apartment didn't feel stale. I boxed up my books, pulled my clothes off hangers, unplugged the Xbox, left a sticky note on the fridge that said, "Leftover pasta is yours." By noon, I had a car full of boxes and a plan. Rachel's sister, Megan, had already set up a tour of a studio just a few blocks from where I worked. She met me outside, coffee in hand. "I'm surprised you showed," she said, handing me the cup. "I'm surprised you offered." She smirked. "I figured after last night you might have hopped a train out of town." The place was small. One bedroom, hardwood floors, a little balcony with a view of a church steeple. It smelled like lemon polish and fresh paint. I signed the papers that afternoon. As I was leaving the building, I saw Megan sitting on the steps, scrolling through her phone. She looked up. "So, what now?" I shrugged. "Now I buy a microwave." She laughed. "Want company?" And just like that, something shifted. The texts kept coming. From Rachel, from her mom, even one from her grandmother. I don't know what happened, but she's crying nonstop. "She thought you were going to be sweet and surprise her. Please come talk to her, just once. She's not eating." I stayed silent. Not because I didn't care, but because I did. Too much, and caring had nearly broken me. A week later, I saw her, completely unplanned. I was grabbing a late lunch at the corner diner, turkey club, extra fries, when she walked in. Eyes red, sweater baggy, no makeup. She didn't see me at first, but when she did, her entire body froze. I didn't move, didn't wave. She approached slowly. "Can we talk?" I gestured at the booth across from me. She sat. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Just the clink of forks, the low hum of 80s music on the speakers. Then, "You humiliated me," she whispered. I looked at her, calm, tired. "You set it up. I didn't think you'd actually—" "Leave?" I finished. I didn't think you'd say no. She closed her eyes. It was supposed to be funny. It wasn't. She sighed. I miss you. I didn't say anything. Are you seeing someone? I raised an eyebrow. Are you? She didn't answer. The waitress came, refilled my iced tea. Rachel finally asked, was it always this bad? With us? I took a long sip. No, but it got worse, slowly, like a leak under the sink you pretend isn't there, until the cabinet rots. She stared at her hands. I thought you'd come back. I did too. Once. Silence again. Then she said, if I hadn't said what I said, the joke, would you have proposed? I paused. That's the thing, Rachel. You'll never know. Because instead of building something real, you tried to control the moment, turn it into a show. And now? I stood up, placed a 20 on the table. I don't do shows anymore. And I walked out. Later that night, Megan texted, you okay? She stopped by the house, looked wrecked. Said you made her feel invisible. I replied after a while. She made me feel invisible for 2 years. No response. Then, you're not invisible to me. That text sat there on my screen for a long time. I didn't reply, not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't know what to say. There's a kind of grief that doesn't come with death. The kind where someone you loved is still walking around, breathing, posting pictures, but they're no longer yours. It's heavier than silence. A few days later, Megan and I grabbed dinner again. No labels, no pressure. Just two people who'd survived the same storm, from different windows. Over nachos and margaritas, she looked at me and said, you know what you did at that party? I waited. You gave a masterclass in boundaries. I laughed. Pretty sure half the family thinks I'm a villain. Villains don't walk away quietly, she said. They stay, they fight. You just left, with your dignity. That stuck with me, because for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like the bad guy. I felt like the one who finally realized the game wasn't worth playing. It had been a month. 32 days to be exact, since the Christmas party, since the proposal that wasn't, since I packed up my things and walked away from 2 years of shared holidays, inside jokes, mismatched socks, and passive-aggressive arguments about dish soap. 32 days since Rachel had watched me kneel in front of her family, and not for her. Since then, life had felt quiet, unfamiliar at first, like walking into a home you don't remember buying. But with each passing day, I grew more comfortable in the silence, more sure of the fact that leaving wasn't cruel. It was necessary. I still ran into people who knew us, at the grocery store, at the gym, at her cousin's birthday party, which I attended only because I'd RSVP'd long before the implosion. Some gave me that look, the one that says, I heard what happened. Some asked questions. Some didn't say anything at all, just hugged me longer than they normally would. But no one, not a single person, asked me why I did what I did. They knew. Rachel didn't post much on social media anymore. The selfies slowed. The couple's pictures were gone. Her last post was a filtered photo of a latte captioned, Reset. Megan saw it too. You think she's okay? She texted one night. I stared at the message for a long time, then replied, eventually, but not yet. Megan didn't push. She never did. Instead, we built something strange, a connection without rules, no rebound energy, no weird tension, just space, honest, quiet space. We'd meet up, talk about real estate or horror movies, or why people think texting back instantly is some weird measure of love. It was easy, undemanding. One night, we ended up watching a movie on her couch, some old thriller with bad lighting and worse acting, and she fell asleep halfway through. Her head rested against my shoulder. Light, steady. I didn't move, didn't touch her, just sat there letting the warmth settle. because this time, I wasn't rushing anything. Not forgiveness, not love, not the next chapter. Then, one Sunday morning, I got an email from Rachel. Subject: closure. My finger hovered over the delete button, but I opened it. It wasn't long. I've replayed that night 100 times. I was angry, then embarrassed, then heartbroken. But mostly, I was afraid. Afraid that I ruined something real because I needed control more than I needed love. I'm sorry. Not for losing you. I know I did. But for making you feel like a prop in a show that was supposed to be ours. No ask to meet, no long explanations, just honesty. And you know what? That mattered. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Sometimes silence is the reply. Weeks later, Megan and I stood in my new apartment. Boxes finally unpacked. Art hung. Plants dying, but trying. "You okay?" she asked. I nodded. "Yeah, I think I finally am." She picked up a photo frame. One I hadn't noticed was still out. It held a picture of me and Rachel from a beach trip the summer before. She raised an eyebrow. "You keeping this?" I looked at it. Really looked. I saw the smiles, the sun, the frozen moment of a time when we thought everything was okay. Then I took it from her and slid the photo out of the frame. I kept the frame, not the picture, because I wasn't erasing the past, just making room for a better future, one where love wasn't a performance, where a proposal didn't come with an audience, where I do wasn't a dare. Megan stayed for dinner that night. No labels still, no promises, just laughter over takeout, shared silence between bites, and a quiet kind of understanding that didn't need to be named to be real. And as I looked across the table, at this woman who knew everything, saw everything, and still showed up, I realized something. Rachel had taught me what love wasn't. Megan was teaching me what love could be.